showing you a little bit about units being able to talk, and basically you walking up to a unit and having it being able to talk to you. So this is really useful for making custom campaigns or custom games if you're doing single player missions. It could even be used in multiplayer custom games, but it's most useful if you're doing story-based single player games. So here, as you can see, we have our little village. I've got everything set up. So go look at my older videos that I've posted if you want the basics, but basically I've put the player start location here, so the camera starts here. I've got my hero. I've just got some neutral, passive human peasants here, and I've just made a little town for example purposes here. So let's take a look and see what I've done just to get started. As you guys know, if you've seen my content before, I like to keep things very, very simple, and I like to explain things to where you understand the why rather than me just assuming you know. So if you guys have any questions, just leave it in the comments and press like if you like the content that I'm putting out here. But yes, I'm hoping that with these explanations in these videos that it makes sense instead of you just following a step-by-step guide. So I'm hoping that by the end of this you guys truly comprehend why we do the things we do with custom map making. So if you look here, when you open up melee initialization or this little trigger button right here, you'll notice this is different from what you're going to see. But this is a good rule of thumb to start with for any custom map unless you're wanting to do something different. As you can see, I deleted the old ones that used to be here, essentially making it my own custom map just by doing that alone. And I've set these triggers. You can copy these if you want. Basically, this is setting the game to noon. So the time of day is 12 o'clock, aka noon, right? And I've turned the day and night cycle off, so that way it doesn't change time on me while I'm playing, and you can have this be a feature or not in your game. This is just so I can show you guys what's going on. And visibility. So I've created an initially enabled visibility modifier for player 1, emitting visibility across the playable map area. So if I open this one, you'll see I just chose the visibility, create visibility modifier region, as you can see here. And it's initially enabled, meaning when you start playing it's going to be enabled, and it's enabled for player 1, and it emits visibility across which region? The playable map area. It's already chosen for me. So basically that means I can see everything and I don't need to type in I see dead people, which is the cheat to be able to see everything. It's already put in here so you can use that, but that's not really what we're focusing on today, just showing you what I've got set up already. So with that out of the way, let's talk about this. So in my previous videos, you'll see a lot of region work. We're not doing regions today, but what we want to do, here's our goal. Our goal is we're going to use this peasant. These are just placeholders right here. This peasant right here is going to be the one that we want to have say something. So basically, I don't want to put a region down because let's say I'm making a full-fledged game and I put a region here, but let's say later in the game, you know, maybe later in the campaign, this peasant, for whatever reason, me as the map maker, I need him, because he's a critical part of the story, I need him to walk over here. But now my talk to region is stuck here, and he's moved over here. So how can we make it so we don't need to use a region in order to talk to him? So I'm going to hit delete here, close out of this, and then regions is R, by the way, that's how I open that up. But so U is for units. It allows me to click on units. You just press U on the keyboard. Now I'm going to go into triggers, and I'm going to do a trigger, and I'm going to call it generic talk to line. You can name it whatever you want to name it. It doesn't affect anything. I'm just coming up with a name. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to do event, and then we have these options here. Now remember, our goal is to be able to talk to this guy without a region. So you just got to think, what is it we need to do in order to pull that off? So we're going to choose unit within range. Now a unit comes within 256 of unit. So this measurement's kind of confusing. Now to keep things really simple, I personally don't know what this metric is. However, my rule of thumb is I use a unit's attack range as a good measurement, and typically the attack range for a close range melee unit is 100. So when you see two units attacking each other and they're standing literally right next to each other, that's the value of 100. So 256 is a pretty good value. I'll just do 250. It depends on what you want to do. If you want it to be super far, you can do that. If you want it to be close, then do that. 250 is probably good though, but that's a good rule of thumb. 100 is like standing next to each other pretty much. And then 250 is talk range, so you're doing just a little bit further. And then we're going to select the unit, which is peasant 0001. It could say something different on yours, depending on how many units you place and things like that. So that's our event. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have him say something, okay? So there's a couple different ways we can do this. You have to think of a character talking. It's not a common thing. You have to think of it like, this is like a movie when you have them talk. That's always my rule of thumb. So I'm going to search cinematic, because characters talking is like a cinematic thing, right? Actually, I'm not seeing it here. So let's do transmission. Yeah, see, it says cinematic here. I'm not sure why I didn't bring it up. But transmission from unit, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple different ways we can do this, right? And we're going to slowly build on this to make this a more fleshed out game. And basically what I'm going to show you guys here is going to set you guys apart from generic map makers from good ones. So I'm going to start at the beginning doing the basic one, and towards the end of the video we're going to do more advanced ones, and I'll show you the differences and how we get there. So we're going to send a transmission to all players, but you can change that to all players who control, matching condition, but it might just be most simple to do that here. From unit, it's already selected here if I just did that, but to keep things simple, I'll just show you. I press select unit and then selected him. And then name. So whatever you want his name to be, let's just name him Bill to keep things simple. We're going to play no sound, but what's really cool is if you record your own voice tracks or whatever, you can upload them through the sound editor and then put it in there. And then basically you can have a sound file play with a text message. But for now, we're going to leave it as no sound because most maps are like that. And then the message, hello, welcome to our village. Okay. So this part can be kind of confusing, but it's actually pretty simple. I don't think it should be set up this way, but it's always been this way. So I'm just going to cover this the way it is. Modify duration. So it doesn't say it here, but no sound, this value of no sound is 5 seconds. It's kind of cut off here, but it actually stands for 5 seconds. So this message is going to display for 5 seconds. Now you have a couple choices. Modify duration. So if you leave it as is, it's going to be 5 seconds long. So the message will stay there that long. Now you can choose add, subtract, or set to. If you choose add, and I did 2, it is now 7 seconds long because it says and wait. If I chose do not wait, it won't wait for that amount of time. So modify duration, add 2 seconds, then there's subtract 2 seconds or whatever value I want here, and then that would be 3 seconds, or my preferred method, if I know how long the message is going to be appearing for, I can set it to, let's say, 4 seconds. So it's being set to 4 seconds. I prefer this method, but you guys can do it however you think is best for you. So we're going to press OK here. And this is one way to have it work. So let's test, see how it works. As you can see, it's noon, and there is a completely revealed map. I've got my character here, and I'm going to run up to this peasant, and it says, Bill, hello, welcome to our village. So now, anytime I walk up to him, that's what it's going to display because I came within range. Now what's nice about this versus using a region is I can come at him from a different angle. But as you can see, it's not very realistic if you think about it because he's facing that way while I'm facing him. So how can we make him face us whenever he talks? That's the next step that we're going to do here. And this is one of few things I'm going to show you in this video that will, like I said, set you apart from other map makers. So we're going to do search because now our focus is not just to have him say something, but our focus is now to have him face us and say something. So I'm going to do face. There's a couple of different things you can do here. So you can use an animation and lock body part facing, so you can have just the head turn, which is pretty cool. One thing I don't like about this is it can look unnatural if you're kind of coming at them from a different angle that's not quite right. But what I prefer to do is unit, make unit face unit. So what's really cool is you can have them face a point. So if he's like, hey, look off yonder, look, there's a mountain over there I need you to go to, you can have them face that point and then change your cameras and stuff like that to have it face there. And then you can have make unit face angle. I'm not a big fan of that one because you have to know your different angles and sometimes camera angles can make things confusing. But make unit face unit. That's what we're going to use here. So we're going to make the peasant face us, which is the blood mage. And it's going to be over, instead of 0, because that's a little fast, it's like an instant teleport to face us, we're going to have it be 1.5 seconds. So he's going to slowly turn to us as he's saying what he's saying. And just to show you that this works, okay, we're going to come down here and we're going to have him talk to us. So as you can see, he's turning to face us, but the one problem I just realized here is he's got this delay, and I should have done this in the first place. We need to have this first, because what's actually happening here is this is having us wait 4 seconds, and then this is happening. So what really needs to happen is that comes first. So that's the reason why it happened the delayed way that it did. So now it's going to face him properly. So let's take it a step further. Let's say you wanted this guy to say a couple different lines, but you didn't really care which order they were said in. You just wanted to say different greetings and stuff like that every time you walk up to him, kind of like a random villager would. So if that's the case, we're going to do something a little bit more complex, but I'm going to explain it so hopefully it stays simple. Variables are your tool to do random things of this nature. So for example, we're going to hit new variable. This variable name will be farmer dialogue. So we'll call it farmer dialogue. And because this is a text string, we're going to choose string as our variable type. We're going to leave no initial value, leave it blank. And then this array option, you need this if you want to have these different options. So basically, let's say I wanted him to say 3 or 4 different lines. Let's just stick with 3. I want our guy to say 3 different lines, and it's totally random which one he says when I walk up to him. That would mean I need to set it to 3. So the array basically means I want 3 different options with this variable. Okay. Initial value, we're leaving it blank now, but just to keep things real simple, initial value, that's if you wanted just an initial value of dialogue. Like basically if you wanted just for the generic status of this variable to be hello, my name is Bob or Bill, whatever we chose the name to be, then you could do that, but I prefer to leave it blank. I think it's better that way. So we're going to set that. But now that we've created the variable, the game doesn't know how to reference said variable. So this is where the initialization, this event, comes into play. So whether it's a dialogue or anything variableistic, you have to set that when the game loads. So set variable is what we'll want to do. So basically on map initialization, where the map loads up, it's going to set variables. Okay? So we only have the one, farmer dialogue, or whatever you want to call it. Now this looks kind of daunting, right? You're like, what in the heck do I do here? So index. We're going to do the number 1. So remember, we have 3 different options. So we're going to choose 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So right now, value number 1, and I promise this will come around and make sense. Value number 1 is hello, welcome to our village. So now we've referenced the first value to be hello, welcome to our village. Okay? We're going to Control C and Control V to make another one. Now number 2. What is the second line we want him to say? It's a great day outside today, isn't it? Okay. And we're going to do it for a third one. Whoops. I hope you're doing well. Okay. So they've been set. But how do we get the game to say, okay, these 3 lines right here, we want this worker, this peasant, to be the one that says them randomly. So they've been set, but they haven't been assigned to him yet. So what do? Go back to generic talk to line, and then send a transmission. And we're going to click on that message. So as you can see here, there's named Bill, play no sound, and display. And I clicked that. Hello, welcome to our village. Instead of this, we're going up here to variable, and you see farmer dialogue is right there. We're going to click variable, press OK. Now we have that index thing again. So we can either choose 1, 2, or 3. And it'll say one of those 3 messages. However, that defeats the whole purpose of why we created the variable. So we want to randomly choose between 1, 2, and 3 every time we walk up to him. So you choose math random number, and it will choose a random integer number between 1 and 10. Well, we've only assigned 3, so 1, 2, and 3. So now the index, it's going to display farmer dialogue, which we've set back here, and it's going to choose the assigned variable 1, 2, and 3 based on what we set up. So I'm going to press OK, and I'm going to show you what this now looks like. Okay, we're going to come down here, and he turns to face us. Bill, I hope you're doing well. Okay, I'm going to walk away. I'm going to come at him from this side, get close to him, he turns to face me. It's a great day outside today, isn't it? Walk away. Faces us. It's a great day outside today, isn't it? So it's choosing randomly between those 3. So you get the idea. This is something that's really, really useful. Hello, welcome to our village. This is really, really useful if you want generic NPCs around that are going to say different lines like that each time you walk up to them. Now, the last thing I want to show you, this is the last thing. I also want to show you, if you want it to be a cinematic thing where it actually goes into a movie mode, here's how you would do that. It's key you do it the way that I'm showing you, because if you don't, you could lock yourself into a cinematic mode and not be able to get out when you're in game, and that's very frustrating. So cinematic mode is what you'll need to enable under actions, okay? So cinematic mode, turn cinematic mode on for all players. Or if you want it to be just player 1, player 3, whatever you want to do, you can set that here. So I'm going to press OK. So every time a unit comes within 250 range of this peasant, it's going to turn cinematic mode on. The peasant is going to face him over this period of time, and then send transmission, which is everything we've set up. And then because we already have the wait set in, meaning like we have him wait until the next trigger goes off, the next action, you then turn cinematic mode off. So when a unit comes within 250 of peasant, the cinematic mode goes on, the peasant faces the blood mage, send transmission to all players, and then the random dialogue, and then it turns the mode off, okay? We're going to test, see how this goes. Okay, and I'm going to walk up. Now I have lost player control and I'm in a cinematic mode. And I have control again. No control. And then control again. Now there's one last issue with this. I'm going to show you one vulnerability, and I've done this intentionally on purpose. So I can show you the difference between a standard map maker and a really, really good one. It's attention to detail, okay? So this is really key and critical. This actually is important. So what's going to set you apart, notice this. I've got a footman here, right? And I can control him. I'm going to place this blood mage back behind this building. Now watch what happens when I take, under our current trigger set, and I take this footman and I run him up to the peasant. I want you to watch. Okay, everything looks good. Now remember, our main character is this blood mage. Okay, here's the footman. Now, I only want this guy to talk to the blood mage. We're going to pretend that this is a random NPC, but I just happen to have control of him, just for the sake of showing you this example. Notice how the peasant turns to face the blood mage, and the footman's the one that walked in. That's an issue. So we've basically set it up to cater to this single player adventure game, and then this guy came in and ruined the trigger. It broke it. So if you have like a random bunny running around or a sheep running around, whatever it might be, you can be in a lot of trouble and have to do a lot of reworking. So here is how you avoid that. We need a condition. So you can either A, set this trigger up to be when any unit comes into that region, to have him, instead of facing the blood mage, you have him face the triggering unit, basically meaning the unit that triggered the action to happen. That would basically make it so that way the peasant faces whoever it is that walked up. You can do that. Or if you want to be specifically for the main character or the blood mage, you need a condition. So Boolean comparison, it's the one that comes up by default. The triggering unit, actually I believe I'll have to do a unit comparison. Yeah. So I did a unit comparison, and all this is doing is saying if a unit comes within 250 range of the peasant, and the condition that has to be met before these actions can take place is that triggering unit equal to the blood mage. And if that condition is true, these things will happen. Okay? So here's our last step. I'm going to press test. Okay, I'm going to have the footman run over again. Notice how nothing happens when I come in range of that guy. We can pretend that this is just a random critter that has the wander ability, meaning it's a rabbit that's kind of just going in circles or whatever, and it comes close, it doesn't proc that trigger, which is important, especially in a single player game. Now, if my main character comes over here, I hope you're doing well. So this is going to conclude our video. Hopefully this helps. I'm looking to post some more videos, so if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask me. I'm always willing to help people out. Over time, I'm going to be posting more of these videos. I've just been on the fence about posting them because of the state of Warcraft 3 Reforged. The models and stuff are great. The editor has some awesome features, but it is kind of buggy. But the more support you guys show, the more videos I will be posting, and I can create some really, really fun things, and I can show you guys a lot of cool tricks to help you guys with your map making. So please leave a comment and like if you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys again soon.